What if your body has been trying to warn you, but no one ever told you how to listen? Most people don't die suddenly. The truth is, the body rarely shuts down without giving signals first. But these signs are quiet, subtle, and easy to ignore. That's why they're so dangerous. After the age of 70, something changes. Your body becomes more delicate, more vulnerable, and at the same time it starts speaking a different language. A skipped meal here, a restless night there, a strange mood that comes and goes. These aren't just signs of getting older. They might be your body's final warnings. I've seen too many people enter the hospital thinking it was nothing, just to never come back home. That's why today's video matters, because we're going to uncover 5 hidden signs that may appear weeks or even months before a sudden death. These aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to wake you up and help you take action before it's too late. So if you're over 70 or you love someone who is, please stay with me. You might just recognize something that saves a life. If you're still with me, that means you care about your health or about someone you love, and that's a beautiful thing, because awareness is the first step to prevention. In today's video, we're going to explore 5 hidden signs that often come before sudden death in adults over 70. These aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to prepare you, to give you knowledge, confidence, and peace of mind. You see, the problem isn't that the body doesn't warn us. The problem is we were never taught how to recognize the signs. Most people chalk them up to just getting older, when in reality they could be serious red flags. The good news is, many of these signs, if caught early, can be managed, treated, or even reversed. We'll go through each one using real-life stories, simple explanations, and helpful suggestions you can start today. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and tap the bell icon. That way you'll never miss another important video that could protect you or someone close to you. Now let's take a closer look at the first hidden sign, one that often goes unnoticed but could be the earliest warning of something serious. One sudden change in personality or behavior often goes unnoticed. One of the most overlooked warning signs before a serious health decline is a sudden change in personality. This can show up as irritability, mood swings, increased anxiety, or withdrawal from loved ones. And many times it's dismissed as just getting older or being grumpy. But in reality, when someone who was once calm and cheerful becomes unusually short-tempered or begins to isolate themselves, it may be more than just a bad day. It could be the first whisper of a major medical issue. Let me tell you about George. George was 78 years old and known in his community as the friendly neighbor who always waved from his porch. He loved crossword puzzles, his morning walks, and chatting with folks at the local diner. But over the course of just a few months, something changed. George became quiet. He stopped showing up for breakfast with his friends. His wife, Eleanor, said he began snapping at her for no reason, and he seemed confused at times, putting the car keys in the refrigerator or forgetting how to use the remote. At first, his family thought it was just aging or maybe stress, but then George had a small stroke, what doctors call a transient ischemic attack, or TIA. It turned out those subtle personality changes were early signs that his brain wasn't getting enough blood flow, particularly in areas that control mood and memory. From a medical standpoint, personality changes in seniors can be caused by several underlying issues. Tiny, unnoticed strokes can damage parts of the brain involved in emotional regulation. Certain types of dementia, like frontotemporal dementia, often begin with behavioral symptoms before memory problems appear. Even heart problems, infections like urinary tract infections, or changes in medications can alter how a person feels or acts. The important thing is not to ignore it or chalk it up to just aging. A sudden shift in personality, especially if it's out of character, should always be investigated. Now here's the encouraging part. Early action can make a big difference. If you or someone you love starts showing signs of unusual irritability, confusion, or withdrawal, don't wait. Schedule a checkup. Ask about cognitive screenings or a basic neurological exam. Stay mentally active by reading, doing puzzles, or learning something new. Keep the body moving too. Light exercise can improve blood flow to the brain. And perhaps most importantly, stay connected with others. Isolation only makes symptoms worse. Just talking regularly with family, friends, or joining a senior group can have powerful protective effects on mental health and brain function. Sometimes the quietest changes are the most important to notice. George was lucky. His stroke was mild and caught in time, and with therapy, he recovered much of his personality. But many aren't so fortunate. That's why we need to listen closely to those early signals. And speaking of quiet signals, let's talk about the next one. Something even more subtle, the kind of fatigue that comes and goes without warning. The second hidden sign that often precedes a serious decline is a deep, unexplained fatigue that seems to arrive in waves without warning and without a clear cause. We're not talking about being tired after gardening or a long day. This is the kind of fatigue that creeps in quietly, even when you're well rested, and makes simple tasks like folding laundry or walking to the mailbox feel unusually exhausting. What makes it dangerous is how easily it's brushed off. Most people say, "I'm just getting old," or "I probably didn't sleep well." But when fatigue is persistent, comes and goes unpredictably, or feels out of proportion to your activity level, it can be your body signaling something much more serious, especially involving the heart. Take Margaret, for example. She was 76 and lived an active life. She wasn't a jogger, but she walked her dog twice a day, cooked her own meals, and enjoyed weekly visits with her grandchildren. But one summer she began needing naps in the middle of the day, something she hadn't done in years. At first she laughed it off, saying, "Well, I guess my age is catching up with me." But over time that fatigue deepened. She started skipping her afternoon walks. Then she found herself winded after standing at the sink too long. Her daughter noticed she looked paler than usual and had started nodding off in the middle of conversations. By the time Margaret finally saw her doctor, she was diagnosed with early-stage congestive heart failure. Her heart wasn't pumping blood efficiently, and her body, particularly her muscles and brain, weren't getting enough oxygen and nutrients. Her body had been trying to slow her down as a way to protect itself. Fatigue, especially in older adults, is one of the most common but misunderstood symptoms of heart problems. When the heart struggles to supply enough blood, the body tries to conserve energy by reducing activity levels. It's like your internal battery is running on low power mode. In other cases, fatigue may be linked to sleep apnea, low thyroid function, anemia, or chronic inflammation, all of which can be serious if ignored. The key is to look at the pattern. If your tiredness seems to hit without explanation, lasts more than a few days, or feels heavier than usual, it's time to take it seriously. The good news is, there are simple steps you can take. First, keep a journal of your energy levels. Note when the fatigue starts, how long it lasts, and what you're doing. Second, talk to your doctor and ask for basic blood work and a heart checkup. Third, make small but steady improvements to your routine. Drink more water, get consistent sleep, and move your body a little every day. Even a 10-minute walk can help restore circulation and boost energy naturally. Most importantly, listen to your body. Fatigue isn't weakness, it's a message. Now let's move on to a warning sign that often hides in plain sight, one that's easy to miss, but deeply connected to the body's shutdown process. A sudden loss of appetite, even for your favorite foods. Another hidden signal that the body may be entering a dangerous decline is the sudden loss of appetite, particularly when it includes favorite foods that once brought joy. It might start subtly, skipping breakfast here, pushing aside dinner there. But when someone over 70 suddenly stops enjoying the meals they've always loved, it's rarely just about taste. It's often the body's way of conserving energy as vital systems begin to slow down. Unfortunately, this warning is one that family members frequently miss or misinterpret as moodiness, depression, or just not being hungry today. Joe, a retired firefighter in his early 80s, had always been known for his morning ritual: black coffee and 2 slices of buttered toast with strawberry jam. Rain or shine, that breakfast started his day. But one morning he left it untouched. His wife, Helen, figured he just wasn't in the mood. But then it happened again and again. Over the following weeks, Joe began refusing lunch, picking at dinner, and saying he felt full after just a few bites. He was losing weight, though he barely noticed. When they finally visited the doctor, tests revealed a serious issue. Joe's kidneys were failing, and his digestive system was beginning to slow as a result. His body was no longer prioritizing food because it was struggling to maintain more critical functions. Within 6 weeks, Joe passed away peacefully at home. Looking back, Helen realized that his declining appetite had been his body's quiet cry for help. From a medical perspective, appetite loss in older adults can point to several life-threatening issues. As the body begins to shut down, it often starts by slowing non-essential systems, digestion being one of the first. Diminished appetite may also result from liver failure, advanced heart disease, chronic infections, cancer, or simply from medications affecting taste and gut function. Even something as basic as poor hydration can interfere with hunger signals. The key is to notice when the pattern shifts. A day or two of lighter eating isn't unusual, but if someone starts consistently skipping meals, losing weight, or showing less interest in food, it's time to act. Thankfully, there are ways to respond early. Begin by gently encouraging small, nutrient-rich meals instead of large ones. Soups, smoothies, or protein-rich snacks can help. Keep mealtime social and relaxed rather than pressured. Monitor weight regularly, and if weight loss continues, seek medical evaluation without delay. Sometimes a change in medication, a blood test, or even an adjustment in daily routine can restore appetite and energy. More importantly, remember that food isn't just fuel, it's connection, memory, and life. Ignoring this sign can mean overlooking a deeper issue your body's trying to warn you about. And while appetite tells us what the body's taking in, the next hidden sign reveals something about what's happening when we're resting. Let's take a closer look at the strange but meaningful clue that comes from waking up frequently between 1 and 3 a.m. Waking up in the middle of the night might seem like a normal part of aging, but when it happens repeatedly, especially between 1 and 3 a.m., it could be much more than a bad sleep habit. For many older adults, these quiet, restless hours are actually when the body is trying to alert you to deeper internal stress. Whether it's related to your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, or even your hormones. Frequent night wakings are often a symptom, not the root cause, and when this pattern shows up consistently in someone over 70, it should never be ignored. Let's talk about Mildred. She was 81, a retired school teacher who lived alone and took pride in her independence. Every night she would get into bed by 9:30, read a few pages from her mystery novel, and drift off peacefully. But over a few months, Mildred began waking up suddenly around 2 a.m., feeling a strange restlessness and sometimes a pounding heartbeat. She would sit in the dark living room, sip water, and eventually fall back asleep around 4. At first, she thought it was anxiety. Her doctor suggested cutting back on caffeine, but Mildred didn't even drink coffee. Then one night, she felt a tightness in her chest that wouldn't go away. She called her daughter, who rushed her to the emergency room. The diagnosis, atrial fibrillation, an irregular heart rhythm that had been developing silently, disrupting her sleep as her heart struggled to regulate itself overnight. There's a reason the body often acts up in the early morning hours. Between 1 and 3 a.m., your liver is most active in its detoxification process, and your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, begin to rise in preparation for waking. For healthy people, this happens smoothly. But when your body is under stress due to heart rhythm issues, kidney problems, sleep apnea, or blood sugar imbalances, this internal shift becomes turbulent. Your nervous system gets overstimulated, your breathing might become shallow, your blood pressure may spike, and you wake up sometimes gasping, sometimes sweating, sometimes with no explanation at all. Many seniors brush it off, but consistent wakings during this window are like an internal alarm clock telling you something needs attention. There's also a psychological component. Nighttime is when the mind is most sensitive to loneliness, fear, and unspoken worries. If the body is already under pressure, mental stress only adds fuel to the fire. Poor nighttime oxygen flow, especially in people with undiagnosed sleep apnea, can disrupt deep sleep cycles and put strain on the heart. Over time, this contributes to fatigue, confusion, memory loss, and even heart failure. So that innocent 2 a.m. waking, it may be more meaningful than you think. If you or a loved one is experiencing this, start by keeping a simple sleep journal. Record what time you go to bed, when you wake up, and how you feel. Bring this log to your doctor. Ask about doing a sleep study or checking for underlying heart or lung issues. Sometimes something as simple as adjusting medications, using a CPAP machine, or improving evening routines like avoiding heavy meals and bright screens before bed can dramatically improve sleep quality. Herbal teas like chamomile, magnesium supplements, or even soft background music can support more restful nights. But the most important step is to stop dismissing these night awakenings as nothing. They could be your body's early red flag waving silently in the dark. Now that we've explored how the body may speak to us during the night, let's shift focus to a daytime warning that often gets overlooked, one that appears while you're sitting still and doing absolutely nothing: the quiet, creeping shortness of breath. We often think of shortness of breath as something that happens after exercise, a brisk walk, a flight of stairs, or maybe yard work on a hot day. But when you begin to feel breathless while doing absolutely nothing, just sitting in a chair, watching TV, or talking on the phone, that's when it becomes a serious red flag. In older adults, this quiet kind of breathlessness is one of the most overlooked signs of a failing heart or lungs. And because it often starts subtly, it's easy to miss until it becomes an emergency. Nancy, a cheerful 80-year-old grandmother, had always been active in her church group and loved knitting by the window while listening to music. Her family started noticing something strange. During casual conversations, she would pause mid-sentence to take a deep breath. She no longer hummed to the radio while knitting, and she seemed to shift in her seat more often, as if uncomfortable. When her daughter asked if she was feeling okay, Nancy simply said, "I think I'm just out of shape lately." But then one afternoon, as she sat on the porch enjoying the breeze, she began gasping quietly for air, even though she hadn't moved. Alarmed, her daughter took her to the doctor, where they discovered fluid buildup around her lungs and heart, early signs of congestive heart failure. Medically, when someone experiences shortness of breath at rest, it's called dyspnea at rest, and it's a serious warning sign. It typically points to a lack of oxygen exchange in the lungs or inefficient pumping by the heart. As the heart weakens, fluid can build up in the lungs, making it harder to breathe even when the body is still. This is often why seniors with heart conditions sleep sitting up or need extra pillows. Lying flat worsens the fluid pressure in the lungs. Another possible cause is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, especially in seniors who have a history of smoking or long-term exposure to pollutants. Even anemia, where the body lacks healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen, can make a person feel winded while sitting still. The scariest part? Many seniors downplay this symptom, thinking they just need to move more or get fresh air, when in fact they're already in a state of oxygen deficit. The moment you or someone close begins to feel even mild breathlessness while at rest, it's time to act. First, observe how often it happens and under what conditions. Are they lying down? Are they anxious? Are their lips or fingertips turning pale or blue? Second, schedule an immediate evaluation, including heart and lung imaging, if possible. Third, consider environmental changes. Improve air quality indoors, avoid strong cleaning chemicals or smoke, and ensure rooms are well ventilated. A portable pulse oximeter, available at most pharmacies, can help track oxygen saturation levels from home. Anything under 92% while resting warrants a conversation with your doctor. No one should struggle for air while doing nothing. Breathing is our most basic rhythm, and when it becomes strained without effort, the body is waving a bright red flag. Nancy's early detection gave her time to begin treatment, adjust her habits, and enjoy more moments with her family. But not everyone gets that chance. That's why noticing these changes, even the smallest ones, can make all the difference between crisis and control. Now that we've explored all 5 hidden signs, the personality shifts, the unexplained fatigue, the fading appetite, the silent night wakings, and the breathlessness while still, it's time to bring everything together. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned and, more importantly, what we can do starting today. If you're still watching, that means you truly care about your health or someone you love. Comment "I'm still here" down below so we know who's listening, and don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell icon, because the advice in these videos could one day save a life. Let's take a moment to recap what we've just learned, because none of this is random and none of it should be ignored. Personality shifts that seem out of character fatigue that shows up without warning, a loss of appetite that takes away your taste for even your favorite foods, restless nights between 1 and 3 a.m., and shortness of breath while simply sitting still. These are not just parts of getting older. These are signals, warnings, quiet calls for help from a body that's trying to hold on. The good news? Most of these signs, if caught early, can be treated, managed, or even reversed. We're not powerless. In fact, just by watching this video, you've taken a powerful step toward protecting your health or the health of someone you care about deeply. Awareness is the first step. Action is the next. And if you're feeling fear or regret right now, I want to tell you something important. It's not too late. It's never too late to listen to your body, to ask questions, to speak up at your next doctor's visit, to start with small, consistent changes that protect your future. Your body is not your enemy. It's your most loyal companion. It doesn't betray you. It begs for help quietly, patiently. The question is whether we listen. So don't wait for a crisis. Don't wait until something breaks. Listen now. Act now. Because staying alive isn't just about years. It's about living those years with strength, clarity, and dignity. I truly hope this video gave you something meaningful, something you can carry with you, reflect on, and maybe even share with someone you love. You are not alone. You matter. Your life still holds so much value, no matter your age or stage. If something in today's video stood out to you, let us know in the comments. Which sign surprised you the most? We'd love to hear your thoughts, your stories, or even your questions. We read every single comment, and your voice is an important part of this community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. Until we meet again, stay aware, stay strong, and take care of yourself and those around you. You deserve to live each day with clarity, confidence, and dignity. We're here for you, always.